Hi everybody, my
Hi.
name is John Otto Pike from Actor Spaces, and Actor Spaces is a platform that celebrates all things African and South African industry, which is theatre, film and television, but most importantly the actors within the industry.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you guys and be here today. And first of all, I just want to say congratulations on the finally release of Justice Served. How are you guys feeling and how are you guys preparing for the premiere?
Oof, excited, really overwhelmed, humbled. Having seen the show, I mean, it's not hard to believe because I'm aware of the talent and, the excellence of African filmmaking and filmmakers. But it's really a very exciting and humbling process, yeah.
Yeah, it is exciting. Some bit of goosebumps, chills. But I know that it's one of the best, most definitely.
Yeah, excited. I think it's going to energize the South African film industry. I think it's surely energized me as a performer. It gives you like this newfound resurgence of hope in our industry and hope in what we are able and capable of doing if we all come together and if we have an amazing platform like Netflix as a partner providing us with what they've given us to create and tell the story. So yeah, I think the audience is in for quite a treat.
And how would you guys describe your characters in 3 words?
3 words.
Ladies first.
Okay. I would say courageous, precise, ruthless.
I'd say loving, caring, and heroic. Yeah.
Mean, hard, angry, devout. That's 4.
And Anton, your character is a very clear antagonist in the whole series in a way.
Yeah.
In what ways did you differentiate yourself from the character and also not be able to like judge them for their actions?
I prefer it. I think for me, pushing me as far away from self as possible is why I decided to act, is to step into other people's shoes. So when I play something, it's harder to play something actually that's more closer to who I am, or because it's boring. Firstly, I'm not saying that I'm boring, or maybe I am. Maybe I just discovered that I'm a boring human being. But I am, I really enjoy playing this guy. I enjoyed being, action is very much up my alley. I've played a lot of action roles before. The physicality of it, the embodying the anger, like always, I want to always figure out why is someone as angry as they are, and there's always a reason. How you grew up, which neighborhoods you grew up in definitely affects the way you are growing up. Because I'm like also funny, I am kind of testament to that, like based on where I grew up as a kid, went through a little angry phase. Acting actually to a large extent helped me through that catharsis of performance, I think, like had me let go of that anger. So I like playing characters like that. That's a long answer.
Yeah. And Bokang, your character was seated quite a lot in the series, but it was very impactful, but also quite high energy in a way. How did you maintain and balance your energy in a very contained form?
Caffeine overload. But it's funny that I actually bring up the fact that Vanessa was seated a lot. In my mind, Vanessa was never seated a lot because Vanessa's mind is running 100 kilometers per second. She thinks things like through and then thinks about what her enemy is thinking through and stuff like that. So really, it was just a matter of, I think that mentally she was just so energetically charged that it just translated very easily into the body. And also of course going into it, I went into it on a preparation side ready to physically inhabit in whichever way was requested of the character, because also the Namor is a military soldier group. So we're going to be carrying guns, we're going to be carrying heavy armory, we're going to be carrying a lot of things. So it was a balance, really.
And Tiisetso, your character when we get introduced to him, it's like, okay, so some security guard. But going throughout the journey, he was quite physical. It was quite physically demanding. So how did you prepare yourself, for that role, from the bathroom all the way to the basement?
Preparing for that, actually, for those scenes, it was a bit hard. Because I remember, the night before, I didn't sleep, actually, because I had to, to also, get, a couple of people to be around just to assist me so I can be able, to maneuver all around that, because it required, so much energy, with all that action going through into the bathroom, getting into the closets, stuff like that, Actually, with that sweat, it was real sweat. Mm-hmm. Trust me, the way it was so heavy and hectic. I was doing, lots of runarounds. So there was so much sweating on set as well. So I think it was just overnight preparation. Yeah.
And Anton and Bokang, your characters are part of some form of militant freedom fighter group. Did you guys draw any inspiration from real life existing freedom fighter groups within Africa or South Africa? And also, what kind of research did you get into to portray those dynamics more authentically?
The research that I went into with Vanessa is I focused a lot of my research on creating the background of this woman who's this woman who's very intelligent, who's self-taught in a very high specific skill, and it's just miles ahead of everyone. What are the circumstances that brought her into a place where she's essentially a vigilante? She's essentially working on the other side of of justice, essentially, which is what she's essentially pushing for. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Can you just remind me quickly the question?
So what freedom fighter group's inspiration on?
Yeah. So I didn't particularly draw inspiration from any particular vigilante groups, but I drew inspiration from essentially, basically the ordinary everyday man who either has specific skills or doesn't, but is basically looking for a way to make an impact in a very visible way within their community, within their country, and try to even out the skills and distribute justice.
One of the things that drew me to the story was how it had this traditional undertone to it. They even go into the traditional healing aspect of it, the boy, the ancestral aspect of it. That is essentially where a lot of Africa stems from. And I think our freedom fighters in the past have always had to fight to keep our traditions and cultures alive. So I think that's where I started. I started with the traditional aspect of things, and then I did a little bit of research into which parts, even if you go into Belgium, not Belgium, Congo or Angola or South Africa. We've always had freedom fighters who have kind of lurked in the shadows and partaken in certain guerrilla-type movements or things to overthrow a system that they weren't in agreement with, based on the oppression at the time. So for me, it was a little bit of that, and then it was also watching shows that had child soldiers involved. There's this one, which is the one, Beasts of...
No Nation.
No Nation, with Idris Elba.
Yeah.
That was one of the films that I watched too, to kind of get into the minds of what creates a soldier of this mindset. A child soldier obviously is conditioned to become a killing machine or a mindless follower of a ideology. So I think that was what it was for me.
And Tiisetso, your character, that was basically a one-man show, right?
Yeah.
Until
not related to any political aspects. He was in his own world.
Yeah. And so how did you create the stakes for yourself? And how did you maintain those stakes, even though there was no energy being given from other forces?
I think for me to actually, maintain that energy, it was because of Benji, my co-actor that I was working with. He was quite, he was awesome. Because every single time I'd sit down with him and rehearse with him and talk about a couple of aspects to add into that character here and there, those small things. Like I said, even with the research as well that I did, just asking a couple of family members who are in that field of security and stuff like that, so I can be able to make sure that they all gel when I add that character into it, because I know it was a whole different world. So I felt like I was just by myself at some point. So, but at least I had someone to actually lure me in. Yeah.
And how did you guys build chemistry as the Namor?
I think the chant helped.
The chant, yeah. So I'm not sure about his day one, but definitely my day one on set with all of the Namours, we had a ritual sort of in the script, a scripted ritual thing, sort of.
They're slaughtering things.
And, the conditions of it really made it easy for us to sort of bond. It was a cold night. We were dressed in, Namour sort of like surgeries, clothes that would expose us to the cold, and we had to do all this chanting and, all that stuff. So that gave us an opportunity to sort of bond. But even in between takes, man, we took an opportunity to sort of like get to know each other more, specifically work on the chemistry, because the Namour are a group that have been together for so long. And of course, Anton kept it with the jokes. He was Mr. Joker on set. So.
I distracted you guys, I'm sorry.
that did miracles for us, yeah.
But there were good conversations happening. Like, people were talking about political things, socio-economic things. Like, people were I think it really made us think. Like, just having read the story, we all just had opinions all of a sudden, looking at things, unpacking things, and then there were jokes too. But yeah, for the most part, it was pretty serious.
Yeah. And for all three of you guys, what do you hope audiences gained from Justice Served?
Well, from my side, hopefully they will actually get to learn about a lot of political factors. Because what is happening on Justice Served is what's actually happening in our daily lives, modern day. Whether it's locally or internationally, it relates to everyone. It resonates with each and everyone in the world. So hopefully they'll have a lot of things that they will learn politically and personally.
I hope for people to get entertained. I just want their minds to be blown. It's got all the elements that will have you sitting at the edge of your seat. It's got the action, it's got the drama, it's got the romance, it's got the explosions, it's got the fight sequences. So yeah, so much to look forward to.
Yeah, I'd like the world to see what Africa can do, like in terms of production quality, and for them to see what type of talent is out here. I think it's going to expose them or give them a little bit of a peek inside our world, and on a level that they would be able to connect with, because it's universally told, it's beautifully shot, and then also I hope it will make audiences think a little bit, because I think we can all see a little piece of ourselves in the story.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you guys for giving me the time today.
Thank you very
Thank you very much. Justice Served, 29th of July on Netflix.
Holy Netflix.
To over 190 countries with over 222 million subscribers.